Hello everyone. I'm going to preface this video by saying that I already had about a total of 15 to 20 hours of gameplay experience with Anthem before the VIP demo came out. I've given feedback to BioWare about certain issues and topics in the game, but for a couple of reasons, there's a huge difference in giving feedback when at an event and when playing from your own home. The mentality is very different. When you're at an event, you're not really thinking feedback. You're thinking, oh, crap, do I have all the footage that I need? Do I have everything that I need to make videos? I've also played the VIP demo already before it was out in San Francisco, and I can tell you that it ran much better than the VIP demo did at my home. Granted, we were on pretty beastly rigs in a more private environment. A lot of the technical things that were issues in the VIP demo were not issues or not as bad of an issue in the build that I played in San Francisco, which I imagine is a bit closer to the final build of the game. But not everything is fixed. I'm not going to sit here and say that the final build is perfection, flawless, any of that, because it's not. Plenty of quality of life changes need to happen. I realize those are pretty empty words coming from myself or any other YouTuber, though. Oh, wow. Final game's a lot better, huh? Likely story, YouTuber. Regardless, it is time for my thoughts on the Anthem VIP demo. I played on PC. Obviously, day one was a bit brutal. That's probably understating it for almost everyone. Couldn't log into servers, Origin went down, then it's up, then it's down. Infinite loading screens all weekend, crashes. Consoles couldn't connect, with Xbox having extended issues as well. Very rough start for a lot of people. PC was choppy here and there, sound cutting out, CPU usage was through the roof sometimes, just murdering my CPU. Despite all of that, I've been seeing some pretty positive feedback in terms of the gameplay portion of the demo in the community, which is inspiring. In terms of controls and all that, I've heard very, very good things about console controls. I'm familiar already, so I'm used to the controls and the flying on mouse and keyboard and all that stuff. The game has negative mouse acceleration, which kind of makes things feel really, really off, especially after playing Destiny, which I imagine a lot of you people watching play, which is so smooth in comparison. Destiny is very, very smooth on PC. So what do I mean by negative mouse acceleration? Well, when you move your mouse, the game cares more about your speed than the distance. So you can move your mouse the same distance, but at two different speeds and end up at two different positions. Moving faster actually reduces the distance that you go. Even walking around Fort Tarsis, it feels like there was some weird issues with mouse and movement. Speaking of Fort Tarsis, it would be nice to be spawned near our Javelin instead of having to slow walk all the way over there every single time we log in. Underwater controlling on mouse and keyboard is brutal, and I think part of it is that you fall so deep into the water and you can't see anything when dropping in that you just get disoriented, on top of any other issues. The transition is just really rough. It takes a few seconds to get your bearings. Anthem's a good looking game on PC. Things look good, but they don't feel as good when playing. Some more refinements need to happen with the PC version. It's not there yet. Now, BioWare has said that there have been many fixes to a more current build of the game, performance and stability fixes, but we won't know the extent of those until the game is actually out. In terms of actual gameplay, ice is by far the best element, and I don't think it's even close. I've seen very little acid being used. That could just be an availability issue. Fire is used a little, lightning is used a little for shields, but I don't understand why I would want to use anything other than ice and freeze. I guess if you aren't playing on Storm, you have a very limited amount of ice attacks available, but even the Ranger with its Frost Grenade is so good. It stuns enemies in place for a long time, and 2 of the 4 Javelins have combo effects that can spread that freeze to other enemies, which I'll remind you stuns them for a really long time, eliminating risk completely. The other elements need to be bumped up in effectiveness. I tried a couple of different fire builds, lightning builds, but it is really tough to beat freezing an enemy so that an Interceptor can go beat up on it, because the Interceptor can just drop a ton of damage really, really quickly. On the other hand, when you're hit by something like fire damage over time, it feels really strong. Like half my health bar strong, but that could have been because I've been on Storm and Interceptor a lot. Enemy shields felt like they came back too quickly sometimes. Like I went to reload my sniper and the shield came back. Also, reloads in this game are brutal. Would really like to see them sped up a little bit or be able to be done while sprinting. Speaking of the AI, it feels like the AI is either brain dead or John Wick. Elite Scar Hunters have that machine gun that fires 300 bullets in a second, which just shreds your health. But more regular enemies sometimes feel like they just kind of stand around sometimes. The scorpion creatures are pretty weak overall, and the only time they're any sort of lethal is when they gang up on you. But when you can fly, it's kind of easy to get out of the way. Speaking of those scorpion spider dudes, that part in the stronghold where you had to hold a position after you placed a bunch of relic pieces fighting back spiders for like 5 minutes or what felt like an eternity, you can shorten that up a bit. For the first time in history, gaming history, I think the word clunky to describe something in a video game is not a buzzword, and I think it accurately describes the Colossus. I think the Colossus is going to be a bit more gear dependent than the other classes just because of the nature of it being so big and slow. The animations you need to go through sometimes feel really long, like being stunned or hitting a wall or having your shield break or even launching some abilities. The auto lightning cannon and flamethrower combo was really strong in the demo, able to wipe out tons of trash mobs with the Colossus combo effect, since their combo effect is a huge AoE. So you just burst everything down instantly. Their single target is not great with that setup though, which is what the Ranger is for. Against these spiders and scorpions, this build was insanely powerful because most of those creatures are pretty weak, but against Scar, it was not as potent because the Scar do actually hurt, so you need to be more careful, but it still did some very good work. However, most classes, even on hard mode, felt like they were capable of doing such a thing. Maybe not as efficiently, but they were still definitely capable. Against Scar opponents, and not mindless spiders, the Colossus feels like a giant hunk of metal designed to eat a bunch of damage and then hide for eternity looking for health packs. The fact that its shield is a literal shield that you need to pull out hinders the Colossus as well, because beyond using Battle Cry and getting instantly mauled by all of the enemies in the area, it doesn't really feel like I could tank a whole lot. It doesn't feel like a tank class, it just feels like a big dude. If your shield breaks, you're left vulnerable because of long animations, and you can't really do much when holding a shield in terms of using weapons. A lot of my feedback playing the Colossus is from when I played in San Francisco. I didn't get to play it in the demo, but I played the contents of the demo in San Francisco. To me, it just didn't feel like a Colossus was necessary. Why stand there with a shield and try to block things when you can just freeze them as a Storm or combo them as an Interceptor? To me, the power fantasy of being a Colossus, or what I think a Colossus should be, just wasn't there. Again, the Flamethrower Lightning Cannon build is really, really good. I will say that this might be an issue of me not having enough experience with the Colossus or understanding the game fully at the time of me playing a Colossus. After watching some other people play, I feel like that might be the case more than the Colossus being bad, but if you were to ask me if any of the Javelins should be buffed, I would say the Colossus does. When we get past all of the technical issues and all of that, gameplay is fun. Comboing with teammates is fun. It is fun to chain together abilities and coordinate attacks and get those combo effects and have all that stuff happening. Melee, on the other hand, needs a bit more refinement. Colossus Smash feels pretty good in terms of making it feel weighted and big. Storm and Ranger are okay as well, but it feels like there's a bit of inconsistency with hit registration and targeting. It just doesn't feel very smooth sometimes. Hell, it felt like half the time your melee didn't even work. Interceptor Melee feels like it has absolutely no impact to it at all. It doesn't feel good to use melee despite its effectiveness. That could have been because of the sound issues that plagued the demo, having audio not matched up correctly or just not even playing. It just didn't feel like I was doing anything when I was meleeing away on the Interceptor. Also, meleeing enemies in mid-air is just a nightmare. I know that there are sort of ways to hit enemies while they're in the air, but it just feels really awkward hitting the space beneath an enemy while they're mid-air and then have the enemy come crashing down. Enemies frozen in mid-air will stay frozen in mid-air. No thank you. If we can have those guys come to the ground when they're frozen, that would be good. Then I have a list of just really specific things that I hope get some love. First thing is stats in the UI. Increased javelin health and armor and weapon damage and this and that. There's no list. There's no list of all the stuff I have equipped to see what I have on. I don't even know base health and armor values either. Something needs to show us what stats we currently have equipped in a nice summed up little list somewhere in the UI. Loot needs to physically drop from bosses. I know we get loot from killing a boss in a stronghold, but we should see some of it pop out. Also, I am okay with the way loot is shown in-game. I know that was a big point of contention, that you should see what items you're getting as you get them. I think it was done this way because you can't really switch your items while you're in a mission anyway. Plus, at the very end, you and your team can have that moment of talking about your loot drops. Oh, I got this. What'd you get? Oh, well, I got this and that, but your thing's cool. Oh, your thing's so good. Stuff like that. There isn't an inventory screen during a mission either, so that kind of hurts the whole seeing what items you get concept. Although I will say that it would probably be okay to show what kind of item you got as it dropped, like rare component, epic weapon, etc. Next, the fact that there is no UI element showing you the HP of your teammates is, well, fixed is not the right word, but it is a thing. It exists in the game, just not in the VIP demo build. What needs to exist on the gameplay UI are the following: free cam or perspective swap when downed, potentially going to a mini-map instead of a compass view, and better alerts for when your ultimate is ready. Being downed is fine. Getting killed is fine. What's not fine is just having to sit at that screen the whole time. It's really boring. You can do literally nothing. No spectating other people. You can't crawl to safety for a limited time. And the near complete silence just really takes me out of the experience. As for the compass, I think a mini-map would work a little bit better than the compass. I can't tell you how many times I had to open up my map to see where I was going. That could be personal preference though, because things do show up on the compass. I think I personally prefer a mini-map. And ultimate being ready, you just have to constantly monitor your meter. A little message would be nice that says, hey, your really, really good ability's ready to go. Use it. There's plenty more I could discuss with the VIP demo. I don't want this video getting too long. But if you want even more Anthem discussion, I just did a podcast with Eric's Gaming and Destin from IGN. Link is in the description. We talk more about the VIP demo in that, and I highly suggest go checking it out. Eric's, especially, very, very smart guy. All in all, I completely understand if you were turned off by the demo, canceled a pre-order, anything in between. It was rough. It was a rough time. I hope the open beta is a bit better. BioWare has been talking about the open beta a lot already, talking about improvements and whatnot. I am still apprehensive about endgame as well. I've played with an endgame build at an event. I can't really talk about it just yet though, but I really want to see what's going to keep me grinding in this game. But unfortunately, we're not really going to be able to see that until the game is actually out. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.